This is Ruben from SanDiegoPCTech.com, and today we are going to be doing a quick tune-up and optimization on this Windows 10 PC. The first thing we always do is download and install a program called CCleaner. It's a great free software to delete all your temp files and junk that you pick up from the internet. So let's go ahead and get started by clicking on Google Chrome. Going to google.com and typing in CCleaner. Go ahead and click on that first hit and scroll down under the free side there and click download. You can see it downloading here in the bottom corner of the screen, and once it's done we can click on it to install it. Then go ahead and close your browser and click install on the software. Then go ahead and click run cleaner. It shows you in this column what it's going to delete, stuff like temporary internet files, cookies, download history, just the junk you pick up from surfing the internet. So go ahead and click Run Cleaner. You can always say OK to this. It's just going to tell you that it's deleting your files off your computer, and I've never had a problem with it. It just deletes the junk. Go ahead and click OK, and that will take a few minutes to finish depending on how much is there and the speed of the computer. So next we will download and install a program called Malwarebytes. It's a great free malware removal tool that will get rid of all of the unwanted programs and junk that you may have installed unknowingly. While installing other programs, they may be bundled with legitimate software, stuff like that. So go ahead and click on Google Chrome to get started. Go to google.com and type in Malwarebytes. Click on that first hit. Click the download button. Scroll down where it says free and click download. I found that the free version is adequate. You do not need to buy the full version unless you really want to. Once it's done downloading, you can click on it to install it and click run. Go ahead and close your browser. Say OK for English. It's going to take a few minutes to install here. Go ahead and click Next, accept the license agreement, click Next, 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 and finally Install. You can see here that the program is installing, and that will take a few minutes depending on the speed of your computer. At the end, I always like to uncheck this box that says Enable Free Trial. Otherwise, what will happen is it'll work for 30 days and then it will start prompting you to buy the full version. But if you uncheck it, it will work in free mode forever. So then go ahead and click Finish. It's checking for updates since this is the first time it's ran. And I always like to check for updates every time I run it because new viruses come out every day and they update the definitions every day. So that'll take a few minutes depending on your internet speed and how many updates are available. Once that's done, go ahead and click Scan Now. And this scan will take anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour depending on how many files you have on your hard drive and the speed of your computer. Okay, so we are back, and you can see the scan has finished and found quite a few unwanted programs. They're called 450. So what you want to do here is go ahead and make sure they're all checked, which I think by default it does have them all checked, but I always take a look to make sure that they're checked all the way down to the bottom. And then go ahead and click on Remove Selected. This will take a few minutes, and you can see here it's at 0 threats removed. That number will go up and you'll see them all come off of the computer here. Sometimes it just takes a minute. There you can see it's at 26. Getting rid of quite a few of them now. And 450 threats have been successfully quarantined. What this is saying is that everything's been removed, but that you need to restart your computer to finish the removal process. And would you like to restart now? I'm going to click no because I'll start the computer manually and close the program. And then I will go down here, click on the power button, and click restart. That will finish the process, and then we will be back to continue on with our cleanup. Alright, so the next thing we are going to do is go into the control panel and uninstall programs that are not being used and that have been downloaded and installed on accident or bundled with other programs that just may be slowing the computer down. So I'm going to right click on the start menu here and go to control panel. Then I am going to go over here to programs and features. And I'm going to take a look at everything here. This does take a little bit of experience, so if you're not sure about uninstalling something, you can leave it. But other than that, you basically just want to ask yourself, is this something that I use? Do I know what it is? If the answer is no, you should be safe to uninstall it. For instance, Driver Restore, we know is a program that got installed alongside other programs we're not really using. It's going to slow the machine down, cause browser redirects, stuff like that. So we'll go ahead and highlight it and then click uninstall at the top. Say next, uninstall, takes a few minutes. Say OK, it's been successfully removed. They want us to reboot now, but I always just say I'm going to reboot later. This is asking us for Net Framework. We're going to cancel that. We're not worried about that right now. Going down the list here, Slim Cleaner Plus, I know is a program that gets installed alongside other programs a lot, and people don't really use it, don't really need it. The only cleaner tools I use, we're going to talk about in this tutorial. So all of the other ones, really, they can be uninstalled. So go ahead and highlight it, click uninstall. It's going to take a few minutes for that to come off of the computer. When they ask us to answer questions, I always say no, I don't want to do any surveys. And so that one's gone. Going down the list here, everything from NVIDIA we can keep. That's for the graphics on the computer. RoboForm we can keep. Driver Update, we're going to uninstall that. We do the drivers when we first install an operating system, and we don't really necessarily need to update them unless there's a problem or a feature that we are looking for. A lot of these utilities are unnecessary and end up just slowing the machine down. That one's gone. Going down the list here, this all looks okay to me. Weather Channel Toolbar. Pretty much any toolbar you can always take off, and that's going to speed up the browser. And we're going to take a look at cleaning up the specific browsers here in a few minutes. But like I said, any toolbar, unless you or your customer, happens to use that, they can be uninstalled. Okay, that's gone. Things like YouTube downloaders, I always take off of a computer unless a client says, oh, I happen to use that and it works well. pretty much I always uninstall this stuff, and I've never had a problem doing that. And they do slow the computer down, and typically, like I said, they are just installed by the customer or the client on accident, and they have been bundled with other software that they were trying to get. So we'll go ahead and uninstall that. That's pretty quick. Gone. We're going to close this out. They just want us to survey. Another YouTube downloader. Uninstall. Gone. No surveys. Close them. Everything else on here looks pretty good to me. That should be pretty much all of the unwanted software from there. We'll close the control panel. And the next thing we're going to take a look at is cleaning up the add-ons and the extensions and the home page redirects in each browser. Okay, like I said, what we're going to take a look at next is cleaning up each individual browser, mostly going after the add-ons and the extensions, but we're also going to set the home page back to Google or whatever the client is asking for. We'll get started here by looking at Google Chrome. So go ahead and open the browser, and I can already see some extensions and add-ons are here, and usually I can disable all those and we never have a problem with that. So we're going to click on these three little bars here in Chrome, go down to Settings, and click on Extensions right here. So any of the map ones in Chrome, I always just go ahead and delete them. If you're really concerned about it and think that your customer or client may need it, you can always disable it by unchecking that, and that should be just as good. But like I said, I always get rid of these, and I've never had anybody say, oh, I really needed that plugin or that extension. They have been installed probably with other software that's been added on in the fine print. Nobody read it, and you end up with enough of them that they will really slow down a browser. So I'm just going to go ahead and trash that. It asks if I want to remove it. I said yes. Here we go with a survey. I close that. Now, all of the ones from Google we can leave. These come with the browser by default, and they don't cause any problems. Google Sheets, Google Docs, those are good and they can be useful. So we'll leave all those. And here's another Maps one, Maps Galaxy. We will trash that, remove it. Close the survey. RoboForm Password Manager. That one is one, I will usually remove. If the client is sitting right there, I'll ask them, hey, do you use this? Most times they will say no. So let's go ahead and remove that. Just get the browser nice and clean, almost kind of like it was just installed. Search Manager. This is a big one. We always remove these. These are going to hijack the searches and send them to another search tool instead of Google, and cause a lot of problems, slow the machine down, give them inaccurate results. So go ahead and get rid of that, trash it, say remove, and we're not going to survey this. Close that. Okay, so that's Google Chrome's pretty much taken back to the stock settings as far as extensions. Another thing I'm going to look at here in Chrome, as the rest of the browsers as well, we're going to go to settings and look at the home page. We always want the home page to be Google or Yahoo or whatever they may prefer. But a lot of these unwanted programs, they change the home page to something that the customer may not want to use and doesn't work as good really. So we'll go ahead and delete everything that's there, even though Google was there, and we'll just type in google.com and say OK. Then I always close the browser all the way out and go ahead and check it by running it. And this is what you want to see, a nice, fast, clean home page straight to Google Chrome. And I will also, a lot of times, test the surfing to make sure there's no redirects, no pop-ups. I'll just Google test and, hit a couple of these, Wikipedia, whatever. You can see this browser is working fine now. And, that one's good. So we'll go ahead and close that. We're going to move on next down the line here to Firefox. Take a second to open here. And you can already see right here, there's a toolbar at the top. Like I said before, we pretty much get rid of all toolbars. They're not necessary. Similar setup here as Chrome. You go there to get to the settings, those three little lines, and then go to add-ons. Only add-on we see here is that toolbar from RoboForm. We're going to disable that. And we're going to go down to plugins here. Is another spot in Firefox. Now, this one takes a little bit of experience, but at the same time, you're never going to have a huge issue by disabling something here. I mean, a worst case scenario, you could re-enable it if you needed to. These all look okay, actually. I'm familiar with all these, so we're just going to leave them. But sometimes you'll see stuff here like coupon downloaders, coupon printers, map plugins. Those kind of things can always be disabled, and you can just do the drop down here to never activate. So that's pretty good for the extensions there in Firefox. We're going to go take a look here at the search and the home page. So for the home page, we're going to change this to google.com. Unless the customer or client has asked for something else, I always just go with this. Pretty much you can get to wherever you want from Google, so that usually works good. And the other thing I'm going to do is change the search. The default search in here is Yahoo. That might be okay. I happen to prefer Google. So again, unless somebody tells me something else, I always just set it to Google, and then we just close that. Just asking if I want to close all the tabs, say yes. Then I'll go ahead and check the browser real quick, open it up. This looks good. Like I said, just a nice clean one page, no toolbar, straight to Google. I'm going to search for test here and just kind of surf the internet a little bit. We can go to Speakeasy speed tests. I'll just click on a couple things here. This all is fine. You would have seen a problem at this point if there was one. So now I'm going to go ahead and close this. And we're going to move on down here to Internet Explorer. So again, we see a toolbar here. We're going to want to get rid of that. And they're asking us some questions here. I always say don't use recommended settings and OK. They're just basically what they're trying to do here is set your home page to MSN, do a couple other things here that I don't really personally feel are necessary. If you wanted to do that, that would probably be okay too. So we'll say okay, don't use recommended settings on that. I'm gonna open this up a little bit bigger here. Now Internet Explorer, what you want to click on is this little gear icon here, and then go down to Internet Options. And for the home page, you can see it's set to Yahoo. I'm going to change that to google.com and then say apply and OK. For the add-ons, you go back to that gear and go to Manage Add-ons. You can see here's RoboForm right here. You're going to highlight that and disable it. Right here it's saying if you disable this, you have to disable the rest of these that go alongside of it. So I always just say OK, disable those too. You can see everything in here has been disabled, and most of those were from RoboForm. Search provider, we can leave this one as Bing for now. It's not a big deal. Most of my customers actually are not using Internet Explorer, and so I don't usually spend too much time on this. If you want to add Google, you can add Google here. It's a few more steps than the other browsers, so we'll just leave Bing for now. It's fine, and close that. We'll go ahead and close the browser. This is just asking me if I want to close multiple tabs. I'll say yes, close tabs. And now we're going to run Internet Explorer and see how everything looks. Looks good here, and we'll just do a quick test of the internet surfing. Go to any of these websites here. Just make sure everything runs good, loads pretty quickly. This browser does take a little bit longer than the other ones, so we'll give that a second. That loaded up here, no problem. I'll click on a couple little tabs here. And that's pretty much good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and close this, and the next thing we're going to be looking at is installing some antivirus, and I will be back in a few minutes. Okay, we are back, and what we're going to do next is install some antivirus and run a scan with it. You can see this computer actually doesn't have any antivirus running on there. A lot of times for our customers, we will see something installed already, whether it be McAfee or Norton antivirus. We usually go ahead and uninstall those and install our own. We like to use Avast free antivirus. We found that it works better than those other two and is also lighter on system resources, meaning that it doesn't slow the computer down. So let's go ahead and download that one. We'll start here by going to Chrome. And just doing a Google search for Avast free Antivirus 2016 there. Go ahead and click on this download from CNET. There's about 3 down in the results there. And click download now. A quick note here, be careful that you don't download this one up here or anything on the side here. Those are all advertisements for other software programs that we're not trying to install right now.
101. Hey, Cortana, define delusions of grandeur.
The false impression of one's own importance.
She's talking about you, bro.
That ad. Click on it again here. Get it to start. There it goes.
Never miss a moment of the action with the CBS Sports.
So once it's done, you can go ahead and click on it to install it and close the browser. It's going to take a few minutes to start the installation process, and there's a couple options in here I'm going to look at. So I always go to customize right here. And Avast comes with a lot of tools. Some of them are actually pretty good, but for this tutorial, we're just doing a quick tune-up, quick cleanup. We don't need to install everything that Avast comes with, even though, like I said, I have used some of these tools in here before, and they're good. So we're basically just going to leave on the File Shield, which is your basic antivirus that runs on the computer and checks files that get downloaded. The Web Shield is good. What that does is it checks the reputation of websites when you do searches, and it will tell you if a reputation is bad for a website. Mail Shield I usually leave on. That's if you're running Outlook or Thunderbird, it will scan your ingoing and outgoing mail. I'm not going to do Software Updater. What that does is you can run that and check and see if your software is up to date. Browser Cleanup we're not going to do. We use CC Cleaner for that. Rescue Disk we're not going to do. Home Network Security we're not going to do. The Security Browser Extension I'm not going to do. Just because I don't like installing a lot of web extensions. I have used that one before, and it is good, but for this situation, I'm not going to use it. The Safe Browser Zone and the Safe Price Browser Extension, I'm going to take that off too. We're going to take off the Secure Line VPN and passwords. What these do is, it'll remember your stored passwords, and we're going to take off the Performance Cleanup tool. So basically, once you have that all set up, we just use those 3 and just go ahead and click install. And that's going to take maybe about 10 or 15 minutes to install, depending on the speed of the computer and your internet connection. So I'll be back in a few minutes once that's done, and we will run an antivirus scan. Alright, we are back, and you can see Avast has finished installing. It says you are protected, and so we'll go ahead and click continue. This is a privacy policy. It says, that they may share information and stuff like that about antivirus software and what viruses come on the computer. And we're going to take a look at the privacy settings here in a minute. So I can just click continue. And here they're asking if we want Avast for our mobile. We're going to say no, not right now. And you are protected. Everything's done. There is a few things I like to change in the settings here. One of them is the privacy I just talked about. I usually go down here in settings, scroll to the bottom, go to privacy, and say don't participate in the Avast community and don't participate in data sharing. I will always turn those kind of options off in whatever software I'm using, just because I'm working on somebody else's computer and I figure they may not want to share any information. Okay, there's other thing in here. I go to pop-ups. And on the free version, they will give you little advertisements. They're not too bad, but it'll pop up and say, do you want to buy the full version? You can't turn them all the way off in the free version. If you try to uncheck them, it's going to tell you, you have to buy the paid version. But what you can do is turn the duration from 20 seconds down to 1 second. So it just pops up real quick, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Just makes it a little bit easier. If you're working on the computer, it doesn't kind of distract you or the customer. So we'll turn all those down to 1, except for the last one, which is an alert pop-up. That's going to pop up if there's a virus. I still think 20 seconds is too long, so I'll turn that one to 10 seconds. Okay, once that's all set, just click OK, and you're pretty much done. That's the full installation of Avast. You can register it here, and I think it's going to ask within a week or two anyways, and all you have to do there is just give them an email address and choose the free one. Like if I click register here, just go down to the free one here, say select, and you can just put an email address in here and click register, and that's it. And so I'm not going to do that now, but if you wanted to keep this on your computer for a year, that would let you do that. What I am going to do is go to scan, and then I'm going to go ahead and click on smart scan. And this is just a quick scan for viruses running in memory, and it looks in the Windows folders where viruses they commonly reside. It doesn't scan the entire computer, and I'm not going to do that for this tutorial. I would do that if this computer had a lot of viruses, but depending on the machine and how much data is on the drive, that could take a few hours. I found that this one usually runs pretty quick. See, there you go, it already finished, and it didn't find any viruses. Mostly on this machine, we just had unwanted software, pop-ups, unwanted toolbars, just kind of a bunch of junk, as opposed to having a really bad virus. So that's pretty much everything with Avast and Antivirus, and I'm going to go ahead and close that. And you can start it over here anytime you want to run a scan. You can do a full system scan or just the quick scan, depending on what you prefer there. And that's about it. We're going to do a couple wrap-up things here in a few minutes, and I'll be back. Okay, so the last thing we are going to do is go ahead and check on the startup items in Windows. These are programs that have been added to the startup that you may or may not want there, and if you don't need them, they will slow the computer down. So to get to the startup, we're going to right click on the Windows Start button there and go to Task Manager, and up here at the top we're going to go ahead and click on Startup. So you can see in here there's quite a few things. CC Cleaner we don't need in startup, so we'll go ahead and disable that. Now that doesn't uninstall the software, it just tells the computer not to load it every time it starts. So when you want to run CC Cleaner, you just go ahead and go to Start, and then All Apps, and then CC Cleaner, and go ahead and start it like that, and you can still always use the program. HD Audio Control Panel we don't really need. Logitech Download Assistant we don't need. Microsoft OneDrive we're not using on this computer. NVIDIA Update Background we don't need, so we'll disable. And RoboForm we don't need on this machine, so we're going to disable it. A lot of these are good tools, like CC Cleaner and OneDrive especially, but this client happens to not use those, so we'll disable them. And if they ever say, oh, I need to use OneDrive, then it's really easy. Just go in there and re-enable it. It's not a big deal. This computer isn't that bad. A lot of times we'll see a huge list of items here that aren't being used that are really bogging the machine down. So that's pretty much it for that. Go ahead and close Task Manager, and you do need to restart the computer for that to take effect. Those programs will still be running right now. If you click down here, you'll still see them down there running. So again, after a restart, that'll work. So that's pretty much it for this computer. To kind of summarize everything, what we did first is run CC Cleaner, then we ran Malwarebytes, and then we went ahead and went into each browser and cleaned up all the extensions and reset the home page. Then we installed Avast Antivirus and ran a scan with that. And then we went ahead and cleaned up the startup and checked everything out. I always test the computer for a few minutes, restart it, test it again, do a little quick browsing and make sure everything's okay. And so that about does it. That's a quick tune-up on a Windows 10 PC. And you can always reach me through the website if you have any questions or you need any help.